Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Cogeco, the presenting partner of the Toronto Global Forum, it's my pleasure to welcome you here today to this plenary session. We have insightful guest speakers, and that's why this conference has become invaluable to decision makers in our society. We are about to hear speakers who will address the subject of a responsible economic transition. There's been a lot of talk since this morning about technology, and there will be more, and rightfully so. But as we do, it's important to keep the social dimension in mind, and this is what I would like to address this afternoon. So resilient economies enhance the participation of all willing citizens to build collective wealth to be redistributed in a fair and respectful manner. And this is why we have a duty to consider all stakeholders as we chart a new economy and try to define the way forward. Across the globe, societies have lived through profound transformations, and changes are happening in a range of areas simultaneously. The private sector is called upon to build and lead us to a more equitable and sustainable future. And the stakeholder capitalist model invites us to adopt a balanced approach to economic development, one that is profitable, inclusive, and protective of our planet. And this, of course, touches the transition towards a greener future, which we are exploring more and more today. There are many factors that are challenging our efforts to improve the ESG efforts. So some of them are skepticism or outright opposition in certain segments of society, uncertainties caused by the invasion in Ukraine and its fallouts, inflation, and food insecurity, as well as cyber threats, and of course, the talent crisis. Based on our experience at Cogeco, our starting point is our stakeholders, including our 1.5 million customers in Ontario, Quebec, and 12 states along the eastern seaboard. We engage with them to understand their needs, their expectations, and we drive sustainable inclusive growth through our 65-year-long tradition of social engagement, community involvement, and we constantly reevaluate ourselves to make sure we're on track. I think as business leaders, it is our duty to consider the economic inequalities when we make decisions. And we make these decisions because we decide on salaries, salary scales. We decide on working conditions. So it really falls on our lap. History has shown that inequalities, when pushed to the limits, breed social insecurity. And you've seen it throughout history in thousands of years past. And when this happens, democracy is threatened. And you don't have to look very far to see what happens and what the devastating consequences are. So market forces left to their own devices threaten the stability of democracies in the medium to long term. But don't get me wrong, I'm totally in favor of the free market. Governments have timidly increased the minimum wage, but labor shortages have caused the effective minimum wage to now lead governments at long last, and that's probably a good thing. But we have yet to find viable solutions to income inequalities and housing affordability. So, without further ado, let us dive into this plenary session and seek inspiration as to how to effect a responsible economic transition. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the session.